You've been looking for the perfect laptop. You want something that's small enough yet big enough so that you can see something on it, and you're traveling moderately, not as much as before, so you're mainly working out of home, or you're mainly working out of, sporadically at the office. You probably want the right size. So a lot of people have been asking me by email, by text, by comments, what am I recommending? And it's an ongoing change because availability, because different models keep changing. Intel keeps changing their processors as well, which is of course normal because they've been doing it year after year. And this is what I'm recommending right now, at least one of them anyways. This is a Dell Latitude 5550. So let's go ahead and open this, and you'll get to see this one. It's a little bit more on the high end, but to be very frank, you won't be able to tell the difference between something that has an Ultra 5 or more memory and whatnot, because they really all look the same. Now the box is quite easy to do, to open, and you're going to find a lot more eco-friendly materials in there. I know some of you don't care. I got a lot of backslash or comments for that, but I know that some of you do care, because I do get thanks for mentioning there's styrofoam. I know some people out there would not purchase things that has excessive styrofoam packaging, plastic. You have an array of things that you don't like in what you purchase, and that's all right. It's a personal choice. I'm just letting you know it's very thick cardboard in here, so it is friendly and easy to recycle. So let's go right to the computer. I'm going to do the opposite of what I usually do. So it comes in this nice little cloth-like sleeve. So I don't know if I'd actually keep this past taking it out. It does really look, I'm sure on the camera, that it's some material, but it's more of a recycled fabric, and I don't think it's going to last. So definitely not something I would consider to use. Now you're going to find it's a Latitude. There's a lot of plastic, so the cost is down on these types of models. You got ventilation here on the back. You got ventilation here towards the back end of the unit, and this is the back side. Let's take a quick look at the ports, since that's what we can see. You're going to notice, like I just noticed now, actually there is an on-off button here in the back. So that's, at least I think that's what that is, or maybe not. It doesn't look like it actually presses. So nix that. The on button's on the keyboard, I bet. Just happened to see a button there, and I suddenly thought maybe that's what it was, but it doesn't appear to even press. So I think it's just perhaps part of the build. I'll have to look that up. But let's take a look at the rest. So let me start with this side here. Sure, why not? So you've got a Kingston lock there, so you can lock that. That's pretty simple. You've got yourself an RJ45 there, so you've got gigabit Ethernet that you can plug a cable right into there. So for those of you who don't want to use a docking station or any of those things, it's one way to do it. Next, you're going to have an HDMI. So in this case, it's an HDMI. I've got this written down. It's a 2.1. And you've got yourself USB 3.2s here. There is an audio jack, and there is an SD reader all the way out here on well, actually in the center, really. On the other side, this is where you've got, there are they're Thunderbolt 4, so 40 gigabit per second. And you can plug in things like a display port in there. You can, of course, charge it through there. I'll show you the power in 1 second. Just so you know, it's a 65 watt, basically AC adapter that comes with it. Pretty standard, pretty basic. I think they're all using this, unless you've got GPU and stuff like that in there, in which case they'd have a higher wattage. But in this case, it does not. And there is ventilation here as well on the side. So hopefully this machine stays nice and cool, and it's going to be able to be used in warmer environments and during the summers and whatnot, because I know in some places heat is a problem. So now that we've done that, let's take a quick look. Now, one of the things that you will notice is the full keyboard. And by the way, this is a backlit keyboard, because I get a lot of questions afterwards. I believe it is possible, and I don't know about this Latitude specifically, but there are some SKUs occasionally on models that don't have it, even though the majority of models, like if you pick the 5550, when you go and select, you want to make sure that if this is an important feature that is in the one that you picked, because occasionally I do get comments saying, hey, you're saying it's there and I don't have it and you're wrong. And you know what? I'm sure some of the lower models, if you go into the retail, for example, I know that some of the competitors, sometimes they literally just don't have a backlit keyboard. In this case, I actually have one that is here and it is lit. I could see it. So it has it. The other thing is how far back it goes. That was another request that I continually get, and that I don't always show you just how far back you can push back the screen. So it does not, go all the way back, but you're getting this is as far back as you can get it. So it's not bad. And it is a full keyboard, meaning that you have the numbers here on the right side, which is really nice if you're into doing like accounting or doing a lot of spreadsheets and stuff. It is nice to be able to add numbers faster than using the top numbers here. So apart from that, I think I can go into some of the specs. Like I mentioned, the processor. Now the RAM, you basically have 2 slots in here, so it can come with 2 8 gigabits, or it can come with 2 16, so you can have a total of 16 or a total of 32. And as well as you're going to have to select, also for the drive, you can get, for example, 512 or 1 terabyte. And let me see if I forgot anything. So the 15.6 is basically a 1920 by 1080. You can get the touch or non-touch. So again, it's something that you get to select. Now, if you're getting this from distribution or getting this from a store somewhere, let's say you don't like touch, you just don't, for some reason it bugs you, whatnot, you can turn that off. Just a little hint, because I get that all the time. I got a touch, I don't like it because I keep touching the screen and it's doing things and I never use it. And for some reason, I guess human nature, you don't bother to think, is this something I can turn off? It is. There are ways. So just a little FYI there, in case that's the only thing stopping you from getting that particular model, because it has a touchscreen. It does come without, but if it happens that the one you're at the store and that's the only one they have and it has the touchscreen, you can turn that off. So the battery is a 54 kW, so I mean, it's not huge, but again, the nice thing about the later processors with the Intels is they seem to have the ability to use less power. Not they seem, they just do. I mean, they've dedicated some cores to be more economical, and so they use less power. So depending on what you're doing with the machine, if you're not doing something that is terribly taxing on the machine, you're doing a lot of Word, for example, like I like to write books, that's one way that it's going to shut down some of the other processors, and then you're going to have an extended battery life. I certainly appreciate the modern laptops. I'm personally using an XPS right now, and that I've made a video of, so that one's still worked out. And so yeah, Dell is right now, the models I'm finding are pretty good, and I've had no complaints. It's kind of a cycle that goes on through the years, and sometimes I go towards one brand more than the other. I'm back to Dell right now. So apart from that, I think I've covered almost everything except the connectivity. Obviously, you can connect a wire on there and have the network that way, but you can also have Wi-Fi, so you'll be happy to hear that, like most of the more recent offerings, not only by Dell, but their competitors as well, they're using Wi-Fi 6E, so that is about as fast as you can go until Wi-Fi 7 comes out. And I don't know if the chip for the Wi-Fi is easily changed. I have not taken one of these apart yet. Sometimes it's surprisingly easy to take out the screws, and the module, I actually don't have one next to me, but sometimes I do. And sometimes it's one little screw, you can change it to something else. I'm not suggesting you alter these, especially if it's on warranty. You might not want to do that, but I thought I'd point it out. Sometimes things are not as difficult to change as you would imagine, so you may have the possibility of changing laptops, even though they seem to be one piece and difficult to open as opposed to a desktop. Bluetooth is 5.3, so again, it's the latest one that you can get that is available, and that's what they've done. And as far as weight is concerned, this, as you can tell, it's a little bigger bulk here than if you go with an XPS or something like that. Of course, it's kind of unfair because my XPS, I think, is like a smaller screen size to begin with. So you really are not compare apples to apples. But the point is, if you're going to be using these primarily for business, as many of you are most likely to do, then this is a very good size. So it's 3.58 pounds or 1.62 kilograms. So again, I mean, it's fairly light. Put this in the bag, take off with it, and life is good. The hinges, as you can tell by, there's two hinges here on the back, and they're not really, in the way or anything like that. The bezel around is pretty good. You've got a front-facing camera there, as you would expect to be able to do video conferencing and so forth. Now, I happen to have one here that is open and turned on, and I was just going to show you roughly what it looks, because a lot of people say, hey, why didn't you turn it on? Why didn't you? And so forth. So I've got quite a few of these on hand right now. It's pretty nice and fast. Like I said, the keyboard is pretty easy to light up and close. You touch it and off it goes. Now, if that you could see that or not. So you've got the keyboard there. And of course, depending on which country you're in, you also have the ability to get the keyboard in English and French, Spanish, I mean, whatever configuration that you need. So do check that if you want to have the actual keyboards imprinted, with your accents or whatnot. So it might make a difference to you. So that about wraps it up. Please, if you like these videos, please leave us some comments. We love hearing about how you're using these. Did you find something that was better? Are they on special? Because I know right now, you'll go through cycles, whether it be the holidays, during, the Christmas, Hanukkah, and whatever, vacation or holidays rather that you're celebrating where you are. There's also things like back to school sales. I know that it doesn't always affect business products and business-minded, corporate type of devices that are meant more for business than the home use. However, you still find specials on these, and those are usually the best time to grab them. And there's also the possibility, if you want to save some money, of going back and getting maybe the previous version of 12th generation Intel processor. In most cases, you're not really losing that much. And of course, it all depends on what kind of savings you can get from the Dells or the Lenovos and so forth. I've seen things sometimes that drop 40–50% because they just want to get rid of the old stock. And it may make sense. So if you're going to compare something like this versus something that has more memory, well, in this case, it's pretty loaded. But if you've got something, if you're looking at a 16 versus, an older one that has double the size of hard drive, and the hard drives, even the previous generation was an NVMe as well. So they're fairly fast. This is still a PCI 4 compliant. So, it's the fastest one. But again, PCI probably by next year is going to be version 7, I guess they're talking about at some point. So the speeds keep increasing, but most of the time, depending on what you're doing with it, if you really need to be at the very edge of the latest and greatest, then that's a whole different story. So again, leave us some comments. We'd love to hear it. And that's about it. If you like science fiction, I have a new book out called Bunny in Time. Check it out on Amazon. Thank you so much. I also have, for the business executives out there, a book called AI Business Strategies. So check that out on Amazon as well. I've been in the top, I'm going to say top 10, top 15 over a year. So thank you so much for all of you who have encouraged me and purchased the book and left comments. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I'm Bob Pellerin, CTOBOB, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.